office research.
Yeah, I always dealt with Chris Hurley and Dan Church. And I like the other two guys. The little tall guy.
Franco.
Yeah, I like him. Who was the other guy? Who was one of the ones?
Are we live? Andrew?
Oh, yeah.
Are we on mic now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So you can see in the dark.
Get charged today, huh? Did he get charged today, Trump?
Yes.
No, I can't see. I can't see.
Andrew, sign this.
Oh, yes.
Ominous in here, getting dark.
It's gonna rain.
For sure.
They said
Is that?
God, where the hell are they coming It's that woman's name that's way in the front at the counter. I don't know. She's just new. And then there's Mary and Diane, right? I've known those people for years. Years. There's somebody from Florida. Is your son done with school?
there. Almost. Are we still on for Thursday?
Thursday. Yep,
Okay.
3:30. Here.
Yes, here. Assessor's conference room.
Sure.
Meeting will come to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Thank you for being here. Andrea, roll call, please.
Here. Yeah, here.
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 Here. Okay, we don't have any public hearings today. So we did a roll call. Andy's excused. So, Mike, you want to do the presentation Oh, we got to approve the minutes, I'm sorry. Approve the minutes from the last, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from May 9th meeting?
So moved.
Second. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Mike, your CFO report?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My financial report was included in your packet. Now that you had approved the initial deposit with New York Class, we now have balances in two accounts. The JP Morgan Chase checking account at the start of June was $594,282.17. The New York Class savings account, $1,267.75 for a total of $1,594,549.92. Checks received for deposit since the last meeting included the initial administration fee for the Lucas James project, $7,287.50. And we had 5 vouchers, invoices that were received for review and were approved this past month for a total of $7,167.50, which brought that to a book balance of $1,594,669.92. And then we did have one additional invoice that came in this week that's been reviewed by the treasurer for $280. That was for TechNet for the June managed services for the computer network. So that will also be paid this month. Other than that, pilots were calculated and sent out. The Village of Depew and Lancaster are both handling their own billing and collection. And Paris report, we had gotten some comments back from New York State, and the auditors are handling that with them. That's per their approved agreement, so there's no additional cost, and they're taking care of that.
Okay, on that, Mike, remember the missing surveys? Remember we had surveys that weren't completed and sent in? Do you still have a list of those companies that didn't do it, or did everybody
I should be able to get a list from the auditors if any were still outstanding. I know there was one property which was, I don't remember which one it was, but there was one that was very difficult to get contact throughout the year, but I'll get an updated list for you and I can provide that to you.
Yeah, if you would, because I believe there was like 9 we weren't sure of, and it's been a while.
Yeah, and I think it was down to about 5 at the time that they presented to you at the one board meeting, but I can get you the final,
Okay, because
final number.
if we can, next board meeting, I want to have everybody bring a resolution up or something to go after them and get that cleaned up if we can.
Yeah, I can provide that list so it's included in the next agenda.
Okay, super, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to turn around and accept the report?
Make a motion to accept the report.
Second?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, under old business, Lancaster Village Center Phase 2. On this, any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I sent out some questions through our CEO, Leone, to Mr. Sweeney, and I just would like some follow-up on that before I talk about some other matters. The first thing is, question was, has this project been approved by the Village of Lancaster? If yes, provide me with the resolutions regarding that approval and any other relevant information. Mr. Sweeney's response was that the full site plan, all 3 phases, was approved on August 24th, 2020. See attached minutes. A revision of the plan was made after Phase 1 completion, and this project was recommended for reapproval by the Village Planning Commission to the Village Board on the February 14, 2022 VB meeting, and tabled so that other approvals can be obtained from both the Lancaster Historic Preservation Commission. The LHPC was approved on March 9, 2022 and extended on May 10, 2023 for 1 year. See attached LHPC extension and the 1/2022 planning approval. The project is on the Village Board agenda for May 22nd, 2023. Was there
Was
anything
approved.
done on that? Okay, do we have any minutes from that meeting?
There are minutes, yes, Mike, if you, are you able to respond to that? There's minutes that were approved at the following meeting. It was a unanimous decision by the village board.
Okay, do you have those with you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
This is a LIDA board meeting, not a.
What's that?
Said it's a LIDA board meeting, not a village board meeting. So
No,
don't-
I mean, it was a response to one of the questions pertaining to the IDA.
That I was
So
supposed to bring minutes?
No, that you weren't, no, I'm just asking if you have them with you.
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, question 5, are there any other investors involved in this project, including entities or individuals who have a financial interest in this project? So please send me a list of names and addresses and investment amounts and percentage of interest in this project. The answer to this question was no. The property is owned by Lancaster Village Center LLC, 100% by Tommy R. Sweeney. Mr. Sweeney, has there been any change to that? Are there any other investments in this project besides just your business?
No, sir. It's only owned by myself.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask for an executive committee meeting.
Make a motion to go into executive session. We have a second?
Second? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Unless they ask you to go in, Andrew, you don't go. Right. I'm sorry. I didn't see any other investors. I've got it there.
When I turn it over to you, I'm going to let you know. I'll turn it over
Oh, is it Junior? Orchard Park.
Pretty good? All right, yeah.
Yeah.
they have a copy? I got
Thanks. Are there different tea times?
You have to do still looking in Buffalo. And I said, well, that's how we love it. But he had a big meeting yesterday with no, not yet, because we don't have anything. And yesterday we met with Tom Barrett. Hold on. See the head down there. Then we had that meeting with Buffalo Cardiology. They're buying property and they're going to drive 50. Especially the way he was. A couple years ago, people got away with it, not now.
Work.
No.
Good idea. I know the chamber. That's one of the challenges. We use grant models, but then everyone's exhausted. So you kind of look around. Get dinner, get it out.
Why
More of a fluke.
let them beat each other up.
Blind time. And you probably know his dad. Well, he was a judge there.
He was a judge here for 40 years. He was a Jim there. Is that your father, Jim? No. Yeah. We're not really. We're not really. No, we're good friends. Okay. He was running for senator, so we all know.
Well, he
The president's cool. That was the king movie. Right? Yeah, great. Yeah, we just played baseball together forever like that. Yeah, we know a few of the families over there because they play baseball and hockey. So my boys at East Aurora. Yeah.
Sitting with Nadine. She actually works for New York. But she's been there since you get all the names. Okay. I'm glad you come over. Meet up for all.
Well, there's executive session, so it's anybody's got it.
All right, Kevin. All right. Probably got beat up. Right? That's right, I forget.
That's why we moved.
Okay, take a vote. or-
Motion to
Motion
resume
to-
into regular session.
Thank you.
Second.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, any comments on the old business of Lancaster Village Phase 2?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd make a motion to hold this vote until the next meeting, and I'll go through the different reasons why. Okay? As soon as I can find my glasses. When we had the public hearing in here on this project, okay, we received an application, and all this came from the applicant, Mr. Sweeney, and in the application on page 19, it indicates that there would be 20 jobs created by this particular project, okay? Now, in the resolution, it indicates that there'll be one job created by this resolution. Now, this document here that says there'll be 20 jobs was actually put up on the website, so the public doesn't know that this project will only be creating one job, okay? This board didn't know that, so they were just informed of it, that it's only for one job, okay? That's a problem. In section 11 of this resolution, it says in there, second paragraph, in addition to the foregoing, in the event the agency determines that company is in violation of material factor, in the event that the company closes the project or relocates its operations to a location outside the village of Lancaster within the time period during which the company is receiving financial assistance from the agency, or in the event of the agency determines in its judgment that the company knowingly and intentionally submitted false or unintentionally misleading information. I don't know how we got a document here turned over to the board that shows 20 jobs, but then in the final resolution and a copy of the application that's in here, it's only one job.
Am I allowed to comment?
Sure, go ahead.
So when I did submit that application, that was preliminary to me submitting the full application to Kevin Zanner. I wanted to make sure, and that document that was handed out was in the pre-meeting before the last meeting, before the public hearing. It was not in the public hearing itself. And then I worked with Kevin. We made sure we had all of the components required. I was misunderstood about the types of jobs that were allowed to be created, because we will create 20 jobs within this project, no question about it, with all of the retail jobs and others. But my understanding after further correspondence with Kevin is that we can only count non-retail and non-restaurant jobs. I revised that application. I submitted it to Kevin with plenty of time. I don't know why we were derelict in getting that published on the website, or why it got pre-published before the public hearing. I'm not sure why that happened.
Okay.
But I did submit the complete and final application to Kevin.
Thank you. But the public didn't know. It looked like there were 10 or 20 different jobs on there, and that's what was posted on there. The amounts in the breakdown of commercial versus retail versus other housing has also changed on the documentation that was presented to this board before that public hearing, from 3,000 square foot of commercial, 22%, retail, 6,000 square feet, 11%, and other, 67% housing. Now it's 9,000 for retail and specify other, 70% housing. Again, the public didn't see this. They have no idea it was there, and that's how it's being broken down.
If I can comment on that as well, that was another clarification that we spoke about. The clarification there is that the retail, I consider the other jobs, restaurant jobs, which after further conversation are retail jobs. Restaurant or retail are the same,
Okay.
as it's viewed by the LIDA.
Thank you. This is the square footage. Breakdown on that has changed as well. There's lots of other things in here in the new application that were not in this application that was posted online. On public hearing meeting minutes, this application is available for inspection at the agency's offices and its website. And basically, this is what was up there. It's still up there. It's incorrect. So the public did not have an opportunity to see the new application. It's a lot of money for one job. Okay, so based on the fact that the LIDA did not see this new application, and unfortunately, based on what I just learned, I don't think anybody looked at it, anybody caught it, except myself. This board has not looked over this new application and should not be voting on this. And furthermore, the public has not seen the actual application for this project and should not be voting on this. Therefore, I ask that this be put off, postponed for another month.
I would see in a comment reference to when I submitted the final application, why was that application not updated and who's responsible for that publication to the public? Because it was submitted well in time.
Okay, was that a motion, Bob, or you?
I make a
asked?
motion, yeah, I started off with the motion to postpone this until the next July meeting.
Do I have a second? I'll second it.
No. Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the project.
I'll second that motion.
Yes. No.
Yes.
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 No.
Before I vote, I'm going to turn around and make a couple comments. Some of you people might have known a person named Paul Harvey, and here's the rest of the story. This project from day one is a very good project. People think we're against the project. I'm not. I have no problem whatsoever. It all started back with the CDC. Mr. Sweeney is very involved in that. He's involved also in the Chamber of Commerce, and he's doing this. The CDC from 2003 to 2015 was not properly administered. They had a person in charge that basically messed it up. It was a 501c3 not-for-profit. In that time frame, they borrowed money from M&T Bank. They borrowed money from the Erie County IDA. How they did that, I had no idea. So when the property was sold to Mr. Sweeney, pretty much the CDC's money went to the bank. I believe the purchase price was $925,000. After they paid off the bills, the CDC still had money they owed to M&T Bank. So they actually netted $380.13. So I started wondering, they had such a terrible idea going back, if you watch the CDC minutes, which is not an elected board, In there, it was stated early on, and I believe it was 17 or 18, to turn around and break the property up into 5 pieces. That was voted down or not taken forward. So the property was sold in one piece where it could have been busted up at that point in time, sold to multiple developers, and then you would not have one person owning 5 acres of the middle of a historic village. That's what you have now. If anybody watched The Wonderful Life, you're going to understand that. If not, go watch the movie. So you have one individual, like I said, the project's a good project, but you have one individual that controls the middle of your village and the village board at this point. When you look at the mayor of the village of Lancaster...
I'm going to stop right there. We're in the middle of a roll call vote, and your
I have every
opportunity
right to state you're out of order. I have the floor.
Can I just defer to, if
No,
we're in the middle of a roll call vote,
I've got the floor.
question to our attorney, there was nothing brought up under the question before roll call started. We have 6 members who have voted. He has an opportunity to speak after, but if we could complete the vote, I would like to make that request.
That is standard procedure.
Pardon?
It's standard procedure to finish the vote that was presented.
Don't we do-
Discussion occurs prior to the call of the vote, and once the vote is called, you take votes, and there's no discussion during the voting, typically.
Typically, does that mean never?
It shouldn't happen.
Is that a legal basis that it can't happen?
I think that's decorum at meetings.
All right, I'll finish my statement after. Okay, no. I'll finish my statement. The Village of Lancaster, so people know, the mayor in 2021 or 22 signed a document with Mr. Sweeney of right of first refusal for 3 more pieces of property, or 2 more pieces. Remember,
I'd
Rhoda,
like
I
to
have the
correct the
floor.
record
I have the
that I
floor.
was not mayor at that point.
Yeah, I've got the paperwork. Your signature's on
When
it.
Mayor Schroeder signed that.
No, you signed it. The first refusal one, that was signed under your watch, your name's on it. For the parking lot and the other lot down below. I've got the paperwork, it was sent to me.
Continue.
So anyways, you have right now Mr. Sweeney, you've got your project. To the people out here, just keep in mind, when you drive in here, probably should change the name of the village because this isn't working for me. Thank you very much. Okay, any public comments? Anybody again? Number 2?
I mean, I'd like to make a public comment specific to the project. Number 1, thank you for voting yes. Those of you that voted yes, we've been working, as everybody knows, very hard on this village, trying to get it back. As we know from the public hearing, we have stalled in this village for the last 50 years to create an environment. And there have been opportunities throughout that 50 years for a whole assortment of people to come forward and be able to purchase parcels and modify the strategy and do what was necessary to get this village. We've failed at that for 50 years. And specifically for the last 25 years, it's been a challenge. There have been no developers willing to step forward other than me, and I wasn't the first. And even when I stepped forward, it was going to be a tremendous challenge for me to do that. I'm not a developer. The building you see across the street is the first building I've ever built in my life. I probably should have started with a single-family home, but at the end of the day, it's the first village I ever built. I struggled with it. I learned a lot of lessons. I'm glad I made the impact that I did, and I look forward to going forward and making additional impacts. When I think of the code changes that were just made in the village as well, it's going to be very difficult for a barber shop or an ice cream place or even a restaurant to come into the village and build what now is required to be a 3-story building congruent with the historical nature of the village and become a landlord, have upper apartments, and do all of that extra work. Most restaurants, ice cream shops, and barbers and other places like that are not going to be willing to make that investment. And that's where I come in at this point. And I'm happy that we did it. I'm happy we can move forward. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Am I able to say something?
Yes.
I've lived in the Village of Depew for 34 years, and I've been a trustee or the mayor since 2015. And I know there is no way I could come here today and not support the project that you had. A couple weeks ago, there was a public hearing here. I only heard positive results from anybody that came to that podium and said something. So there was opportunity for somebody to express their disconcern or just didn't want it. My fear, being in the next village and looking for the village of Lancaster, the town of Lancaster, is that your person who has stepped forward and put so much into this village would walk away and you'd have nothing but a hole between West Main Street and the creek. I mean, how embarrassing is that? I know I would not have been wanting to be a part of that vote. So if there's something in here that's askew, perhaps there is. I don't know what the procedure is as far as getting it out there, but I'm sure when you look at it, what it's going to create is more than one job. And whether it's retail that it's in, as past precedent from the other project that has been on my watch with Lucas James, Mr. James out there, I believe, it fit within the guidelines as stated by Mr. Paul Leone and our attorney. How can I say no to that? It's the same project here. So that's the explanation of my vote.
Okay, and if I could comment, okay, we have an obligation to let the public know what's going on, and that's why I asked for this to be put off for a month. That's it, okay? The public has the right to know what's going on. The public didn't have the right to know. This board did not have the right to know. And if you look at the board members' duties of care and loyalty in our bylaws, okay, it says right in here, exercise and fulfillment of duties, reviewing and understanding the materials provided in advance of meetings and any other materials provided to the board, informing oneself prior to making decisions by utilizing material information reasonably available. Nobody on this board, other than myself, read what came in from Mr. Zanner, okay? Nobody did that. That's wrong. That should not happen. We expect more of this board. I don't think it was asking too much to delay this vote for a month. But the project got approved. Good luck to you. I hope it turns out great. But again, the public didn't know this before it happened. It shouldn't happen this way. And it can't happen this way as far as I'm concerned anymore. People got to do their jobs. And so let's hope we do in the future.
I'm going to speak to that because I do not like that you spoke on behalf of all 7 of us sitting here saying that we did not read the document. That is not true in my case, and I would like to make sure that that's clear for the record. We have talked over and over as an IDA that we do not have the staffing and the administrative capability right now to function the way that we should function. There were opportunities that came before this board to rectify that, and members at this table voted no to that. So until we fix the organization of LIDA, we're going to continue to have clerical issues because there is no administrative staff. So it should be a huge priority, as some of us have been saying from day one of being on this board, and somebody should be tasked with that.
We have 2 people who are assigned to this, administrator people who are doing a great job. All the payments are coming out on time or quicker than they used to. I think they're doing a spectacular job. Okay, if you read that document, you would have caught in there that it now says 1 job versus 20 jobs.
But again,
give you a glance.
You're assuming that we didn't read the document. Even the mayor had said is going to create other jobs, and that played a factor. Whether it's LIDA, IDA considered jobs, or just retail and restaurant jobs, it's still creating jobs. So the fact that the number is different on paper according to IDA guidelines, it's still an appropriate project, and it doesn't mean we didn't read it.
If I might add, I appreciate, Bob, that you read the document. Good on you. Nowhere in that description of our seating does it say read it. It says make yourself familiar with it and be aware of what's going on. Kevin, did you read that document?
Which document are you
The
referring to?
last document that he's talking about here with the changes in it to 1 and not 20.
Oh, yeah, the application came in.
Okay. Do you advise this board? Would you advise me if there was something wrong with the paperwork that he brought to you?
Yes.
And you did not advise me of anything like that,
correct.
did you?
Well,
Excuse me, I have the floor. Paul,
of course.
Paul, did you review this all?
I review every project.
You do indeed.
I review all those projects before, and then before I let the board know what the project is, preliminary, and then I hand it over to Kevin Zanner for his opinion.
Indeed.
Legally.
And we pay you for that, and we pay you, Mr. Zanner, for that. And you give us good advice, and I use your advice to make my decisions here for everything that comes in front of me. I don't read it from beginning to end. Good on you, Bob, for reading it, okay? If you found something, there's the people to take it to. And I'm just going to end with, do not put down anyone on this board in a comparison to you. You're your own person, and we are ours. This board operated just the way it should have, with far sides coming to an agreement, and the vote is over, and the board operated like it should. Everything that was brought out on the opposing side was taken into advisement by all of us in that room. Do not come out here and chide us for our vote. Thank you.
Anyone else?
David, say that you don't read legal documents from beginning to end. It's your job to do that. If I was sitting on any type of board, it's my job to read from the beginning to the end. I have the floor. I have the floor, sir. To say a statement like that in front of the other board members is just ludicrous to me. It's your obligation to read every document from beginning to end. I do the same thing when I research what goes on in LIDA. Read from the beginning to the end. You know, what's a tragedy here? But Bob brought up just to wait a month to make sure the documents were correct, because I'm just one resident and I like to read, and I did read that document with the 20, and to hear this, to put it off for a month to get the documents, legal documents, in line, and you refuse, majority of you refuse. It's absurd. It's not right. It's not right for us residents in Lancaster, and it's not right for us village residents in Lancaster to not be able to read the original perfect document. And moving on with the 20 jobs, this is phase 1, 19 West Main Street, employment plan, full-time. There was 20 jobs. They were all full-time. Suite 100, 716 athletics. Total hours, 20.5. Suite 200, Gabriel's Bakery. Total working hours, 41 hours. Suite 300, the Beige Store. Total 40.5 hours. Suite 400, Smithsonian. Total 34 total hours. Suite 500, Emily's Closet. Total 32.5 hours. Suite 600, West Main Street Jewelers, 38 hours. Only 2 of the 6 suites work 40 hours. Does that sound reasonable for a person? This is low income. You're not gonna make, if I was hired by one of these, only 2 of them would be giving me over 40 hours that New York State says a 40-hour job. And here comes the residents that these exemptions, yes, Mr. Sweeney, I'd like to see West Main Street done like it is, but not at the, our taxes, the residents with New York State,
I'm sorry.
Phase 2, application for tax incentives, page 24. Identify the assistance being requested of the agency. You had exemptions from sales tax, you had exemptions from mortgage tax, you had exemptions from real property tax, and not what is, I don't understand why this is not in there. You have exemptions from school taxes. I looked up, being that I'm a resident, this is New York State. Top marginal state individual income tax rates. This is from Tax Foundation. As of January 3rd, 2023, New York ranks number 2 at 10.90. California, number 1, has the worst at 13.30%. Now I move to property tax component ranking 2023 State Business Tax Climate Index. New York was at pitiful number 2 at 49%. Connecticut was number 1, they had 50%. We missed out by 1 point. Sales tax component rankings 2023, State Business Tax Climate Index. New York State, number 43 out of 50 states. Note, states in need of sales tax reform. State local tax burdens by state, calendar year 2022. New York ranked number 1 with 15.9%. Again, Tax Foundation, state population changes in 2022. Top state for outbound migration. Our wonderful New York State was ranked number 1 at 0.9%. That's where these tax incentives come in, and we're hurting enough. The residents here, the Erie County residents, and New York State residents. I did this I wonder how many board members ever got on the ECIDA project type matrix, required state criteria, material terms, and suggested evaluative criteria. I'm sorry, Mr. Sweeney, just don't fit. And I called Erie County Industrial Development Agencies. I talked to one gentleman, and then I talked to another gentleman a couple of weeks ago, and he informed me, I don't use my feelings on any of this. I base my thought processing on facts. My feelings are out of the window. The only 3 exceptions that Andrew Federick told me, he's a business development officer. There's only 3 exceptions. Highly distressed, not available services, which means, let's say, like you want to put a restaurant in, we got a lot of restaurants here, so that don't meet the criteria. It's got to be something where a resident of this area will have to travel miles and miles and miles to find that particular store. And then tourism, and he says that would never count here. So, like usual, I feel like this board really don't step up and do their due diligence. And then I looked into conflict of interest. There are 2 board members here that are in that line. I will read this to you. It's from Office of the State Comptroller, Division of Legal Services. It says, prohibition on interest in contracts. Under certain circumstances, Article 18 prohibits municipal officers and employees from having an interest in contracts with the municipality which they serve. More specifically, unless a statutory exception applies, a municipal officer or employee is prohibited from having an interest in a contract with a municipality for which he or she serves when a person has power or duty, either individually or as a member of a board, or to negotiate, prepare, authorize, or approve the contract that you did, to authorize or approve payment under the contract, to audit bills or claims under the contract, or to appoint an officer or employee with any of those powers or duties. Mayor Ruda, you fit within that. You can argue about it, but you do. You are a board member, Mr. Lamaster brought up with the CDC. You're a board member of the CDC, and Mr. Sweeney was the treasurer of the CDC while you both were in office, which makes a gray area, conflict of interest. And of course, you're going to vote for this project because it is in your own village. Makes sense? Mr. Peterson, you also, because I read about, which I really liked, but you, with the community center on 570 Gold Avenue.
Community center is not Village of Depew, as far as who's doing the work on it.
It's on Gold Avenue, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So it's in
Who owns the building?
Mr. Sweeney was involved with that.
Village.
And you know that, though.
The village turned down buying that building.
But it does, right, it turned it down, but
So what are you insinuating? Come on.
you're in conflict of interest.
You know what?
You are heavily involved in that because you're the mayor, and Mr. Sweeney is involved in that.
Heavily
You could've-
involved in
you
Don
could- I have the
Polsky?
floor.
Oh, my God.
It's, no matter how you
are
look at it, no matter how you look at it, it is.
No, we're not here to argue. One person talk at a time, please.
Thank you.
Finish.
It still fits in within the realm. That's all. You can argue with me all the time.
I know it.
But I've seen Mr. Sweeney, which is a great job, because it does. But you both are working together on this project. You should have just, you should have,
What project am I working with
your
Mr.
name, it's in Depew, Gold Avenue. I lived in that area.
Kevin does not work on that project.
He doesn't have to.
Doesn't at all.
He doesn't have to. He still is the mayor of Depew. Of course he's gonna agree with this project, no matter how you look at it. You know, you and I can look at it this way or that way. It's still conflict of interest.
I think you got your point across.
So,
Excuse me, he does have the floor.
Thank you.
I did not put a time limit. After this meeting, we will be publishing a time limit on our documents, but because of open meeting laws, I did not have one. He is allowed to speak as long as he wants. Thank you.
so all is wrong with this day was not really listening to Robert Leary, because it should have been postponed for another month so people like me can read the real document, because I've been reading the old document all along. I read it probably over 10 times. So what is the real document now? I don't know. I just don't know. And I know people from the last meeting, you talked about the last meeting. I watched the video over and over, and the majority of the people here in the gallery had retail businesses with Mr. Sweeney. Most of the people that were here were from that whole group. I read the names. I took all the names down. that I could actually listen to over the mic, and everyone I found was a business retail with Mr. Sweeney's projects, or what he owned. They have a right to talk, I have no problem with that, but in reality, that's what it is. You're not gonna get somebody like me, and of course, I'm gonna be hushed down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you
Thanks,
give-
Paul.
Did you give your name? Did you get his name? You got it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But
Anybody else?
do I get a chance to?
Oh, wait, one second.
I'm sorry, man, just one second.
What?
For 3 years, as mayor, I was asked to be on this board. I've refused 2 of them. One last year in particular, because I felt, even though I am of the party, I felt it was a little slanted. To me, this shouldn't be Republican, Democrat. You need to make the decisions that are right for the community. I said when I came on this board, I'm voting from the village of Depew in behalf of the residents that live on this side of Transit Road. I don't know what the Gould thing is. Yes, it sits across from Village Hall, but it has nothing to do with me or what have you. And I'm looking at this strictly as what's best for this village. Another month, you want to put it out another month? How long has this project been talked about?
Almost.
I mean, it's been, this is my 6th meeting. I think it's been postponed or delayed at least 3 of those. What's another month going to do? And you have the information there, sir. You said you read it completely. Good for you. I appreciate that. But if there was only one that came in by email or text or whatever since that last meeting with the public hearing. One negative and the rest were all positive. And you mentioned that the people that stood up and talked at the public hearing, those people, the majority of them, if they were part of the Lancaster, Depew, Elma Chamber of Commerce, those people stuck their necks out too to open up businesses in this area. So, to me, I'm listening to the people that came and talked, people that came and wrote things. And I rely on these 2 gentlemen on this side over here. Now, why another document wasn't put up in its place, that's something that Ms. Ruda has alluded to, is maybe we're short-staffed, perhaps we need to do something about that. But, where I come from, what village and what role I have here, my role as I see it is to vote on behalf of the residents of Depew that live in the town of Lancaster. That's it.
The floor is yours.
Hello. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Brittany Leibody. I own 2 businesses on West Main Street, one being the 716 Dance Lab, which is 7,000 square feet? 8,600 square feet. I moved here in 2019, and if it wasn't for Mr. Sweeney here, I would not be a successful young business owner, and there wouldn't be as many families in the village that there are right now. We started with one small room that you're saying was the CDC's building that was not being used and taken care of. Tom turned that around, and we now have a dance studio with 300 students and families that now visit Lancaster on a weekly basis. I also own 716 Athletics, which is a hobby of mine. My main thing is the dance studio. However, this would not be successful if we don't have a second building on the other side. Families want to come here and spend the day. There's not enough here just yet, and people that said no, people like you, are just holding that back, that families are not going to want to move here into these local developments. People are not going to want to bring their kids to dance studios like mine without things to do in the area. We need more. This has been then, since I came in, Tom has been talking about this, and I used to be involved in the village as well, and it has been in the meeting minutes for 3 years. This is not a surprise at all. I am shaky because I am blown away by the unprofessionalism that I just witnessed, and I'm very upset about it. You can't even speak like that to people that are co-workers in a minimum wage position. Speaking like that in front of all these people is mind-blowing. You are expected to read any document that's sent in. Everyone's behind on all paperwork. It happens, but that's not Tom Sweeney's fault. So that comment is completely inappropriate in this setting. You should be reading your documentation the same way if I want to put in a fence, I have to read the 95 papers in order to do that. When I put in my building, because I got held back for all little things because I built a 4-foot wall and I had to read all the paperwork and do all that documentation, you guys should be able to do that on your end. I think you guys should really think about this, that you guys will be known for holding back the Village of Lancaster, and these businesses here, small businesses like mine, will not be successful and I will not be able to pay my mortgage. So these things need to happen or everyone will leave and go elsewhere. This is very, very important, and I hope you take it into consideration that people like me who own rent 8,000 square feet underneath, I'm bringing in families into the village, and I'm a big piece of that, and so are all these other business owners here. We all work together, but we will very quickly follow wherever Tom goes, because he's the reason a lot of us are here. He gave me a chance and helped me build on all aspects. In regards to people having their hands in different pots, that's called networking. That's important, to have your hands in many different pots. That's how you meet people. That's how you become successful. There's nothing grimy about it. I think his involvement in Depew is very important. However that comes into play, you know, that building is going to give back to the community. Here, Tom's always donating to everything he can. Any event that's going on with The Voice, anything that any local business is running, anything for me, for my kids with the dance studio, constantly giving back to the community, and he's not money hungry, a big developer coming in. He's just a guy that loves Lancaster and wanted to invest here instead of somewhere else. Thank you.
Okay, one other comment, I'd just like to address her on that. We were not against the project. I just would like to remind everyone too that the reason he came for an IDA was he wanted market rate apartments. So that means the taxpayers are helping him put in shaker shingles and different high-end items to where maybe if he went with regular to where it was senior housing, he wouldn't have needed the IDA. But thank you very much for your comments. Anybody else? Go ahead.
My name is James Allen, A-L-L-E-I-N. I am president of the CDC. And I really object to the insinuations that we never had any interested developers aside from Mr. Sweeney. We made many calls on investors or developers during that time period, and downtown and Amherst and so on. At least 4 of them presented to us their idea what to do with the property. Yes, the talk came up about dividing it into 5 different sublots. We discussed that fully, and we decided that it would not be well, because then you're looking at 5 different developers working on 5 different sublots with 5 different ideas. And we wanted cohesiveness in that area. So we turned that idea down. We had 2 local developers who came before us, and we seriously considered them. At the last minute, they pulled out because of lack of funding. One day I got a phone call from Mr. Tommy Sweeney. Never heard the name before in my life. He said, "I'd like to sit down with you and discuss the property. How about meeting at Tim Hortons?" So we did. We had a cup of coffee, and he showed me some drawings that he had and his ideas. I took them to the CDC, and we said, this is the fellow that we need, because he really knows what Lancaster is all about. And he wanted to keep the historic character of the village and so on and so forth in his development. I'm glad we went with him. Is there a conflict of interest because he's my best friend? I don't care. This is a small community. That conflict of interest term has been thrown around this community as long as I can remember. I worked for the town for 15 years. That term always came up, conflict of interest. Well, it's a small community. You're going to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. You know, I rode my bike past Gould Avenue the other day. Does that mean a conflict of interest with the community center because I looked at it? because Tom has shown it to me? No. Let's be real here. We have a gentleman here that is 100% for Lancaster, and we need to give him everything we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Oh, my God.
You know? A minority. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Debbie Blask, and I am with the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. I can truly say I have been working for the Chamber for 2 years, and what I have witnessed with Tom, with his heart, I have known him personally for probably 40 years. When I started my career, way back when, obviously, it was a while ago, but he is a man of integrity, honesty, and he truly wants what's best for this community. This bickering, I just can't even understand. I have noticed the energy, meeting with a lot of these business owners, meeting with people in the community, what we have seen in the transformation and the excitement and the positive comments. Everywhere I go, I talk about Lancaster, not just in our community. I have a small place in Chautauqua. I meet people from all over Western New York. I'm saying what a wonderful job we are doing. And I have people say, I've been to your village. It's amazing. Why would you even consider stopping progress halfway? And in regards to when the gentleman was talking about all the hours in the shops, right now, because it's only halfway completed, once you have businesses on both sides, build it, they will come, you will have more people supporting the shops, supporting the restaurants. You can never have too many choices. We have the Opera House. We're lucky to have the Gem right in our backyard, but we need more restaurants for people to visit. So why wouldn't you build it? We can be the next East Aurora or Orchard Park, but we cannot fight. We have to work together for what's best for the community, and we need to move forward. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Oh, my God.
Hi, my name is Joe Marshall, one of the owners of LIDA Meeting and future co-owner of Till Brewing, which will be going into phase 2.
Could you speak to the microphone, please?
Absolutely. And also co-owner of the brewery Till Brewing, which was planned to go into phase 2 now that it's approved. Just wanted to talk a little bit just on the misconception about hours. We are open about 38 hours a week. We put in about 60 to 65 hours a week, and so do our employees. We have to make our product. That does take time beyond when the door opens and the door closes. So just don't make sure, and that's not just us, that's most small business owners and their employees. There's a lot more hours and money for those employees and job opportunities than just the hours that are listed as open. So just keep that in mind, and that also just the idea that a job in what we do is not considered a job according to the LIDA, that's ridiculous. And then you can reevaluate, I think, your code and your bylaws. Just consider that, because the way we work or the way our employees work or everyone else here is very, very hard, and we look forward to seeing the village continue to grow. Thank you.
Anyone else? Second time? Third time? Okay, make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you all, everyone, for coming.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I think I brought a new pen. It's the one I just signed. Yep.
Hey, Kevin?
Oh, all right.
Kevin, the contract that you sent
Drop the
in,
check off to him?
when are those supposed to be in